radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah. Today's Monday, April 16th, 2018. 106 days into the new year. Just 259 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California, and I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. For KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet, I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? All right. Tonight's very special guest, Scott Wolter, is here. Author, researcher, host of America Unearthed. Joins us to give us the final piece to the puzzle of everything. Tomorrow night, Jason Gleaves is here, live from the UK, to talk about his new book, which is unbelievably great. It's called UFO Photos, Computer Analysis. And you've got to check the book out. So we'll talk about that tomorrow night. He goes all the way back. He goes back, well, all the way through to modern history. But he analyzes. He analyzes all of the classic photos, and it's pretty interesting how he breaks it down, and you've really got to check it out. So for me, I love these kinds of books, documentaries like this. I just think are the best, and I like the black and white stuff. You know, and the book is just really incredible. Well, it's color photos, too. Get it? All right. That's tomorrow night. Wednesday night, Jason Quitt is here. And now we're going to do a couple of things with Jason on Wednesday night. And the first half of the show, we're going to do the code. The second half of the show is I Want to Believe. Think about that for a second, and it's coming from Jason Quitt. So that is Wednesday. Thursday is another Fader Night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom Live, followed by Open Lines all night long. You can follow me right now on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You know what to do. Just go over to the website and just click on those little things. You can follow, like, and subscribe. And there you go. The sandbox is hashtag F2B on Twitter. Any questions or comments during the show tonight, hashtag F2BQ. You can also email throughout the show, Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. Let me hit this River Moon coffee. I got to. I need it tonight. Yeah. That's good stuff right there. Art Bell, founder and the original host of Coast to Coast AM, passed away this past Friday, April 13th. At its peak, Art had millions of listeners tuning in each night to Coast. I was one of them. I don't remember the first time or the first show that I heard Art and Coast to Coast. What I do remember that I was driving late at night on business somewhere here in Southern California, and I remember it was in Southern California because of what happened next. And my favorite thing to do is when I was on the road was listen to, like everybody else, talk radio during the day and at night. Now, I'm on the road late at night, and somehow I landed on Coast. This was around 1993, maybe early 94, 93, somewhere in there. I remember a lot of that because of the stations that I would listen to talk radio on, and I know this certain part of my life well. And I remember being blown away with what I had heard. You know, this is me, man. This show is all about where I am at, right? And when I got home that night with the show still on the radio in my car, I pulled in, and what would happen when I pulled into the garage, I would lose my AM radio, and I was used to that. So I was stuck on this show, and I'm listening to what's going on, and I knew that I was going to get cut off as soon as I pulled in the garage. So I pulled in, I looked at my car stereo, looked at the station, excuse me, getting choked up, Art Bell. Looked at the station, and I ran upstairs to try to find it on my stereo system in my bedroom. And I'm trying to dial it in. I found it, but the reception was crap. And I had stayed up all night trying to get an AM antenna to work right, hanging wires, you know the drill. And it never really happened. So the next day, I went out and I bought a radio for my nightstand. And I found one, and that night I come home and I got to find this show, right? I got to find this thing, and I dialed it in, and there it was. But the reception was still really, really bad, and I'm bummed out. And I listened to it that night, but it was just it was coming in and going out, and you know the drill with AM. And some stations right next to I could get it, not Coast, but I could get great AM reception. I couldn't get Coast. The next day I went out, exchanged that radio, got another one, and waited until that evening, found the station, and there it was, crystal clear. And the rest is history. I would sit in my bed with my laptop, and I would listen to the show, and I would research everyone and everything that was being discussed, and it was like a classroom. I had a notepad and a pen and my laptop, and it was just an amazing period of my life. It was just too much. And every single night that Coast aired, and I'm talking about, 93, 94, 95, those years of Coast, it seemed that so much was happening at the same time. It was just an amazing period because you had Roswell, you had Sidonia on Mars, Hoagland on every night with some new analysis and breakdown. You had MJ-12 and what was going on there. You had Serpo. You had things like the American Computer Company and ACC. And if you don't remember the American Computer Company and what was going on with that, combined with everything that was happening back then, the American Computer Company, ACC, which claimed at the time to have captured alien hardware in their computers and this proprietary chip, right, that had alien technology from Roswell. I'm not making any of that up. ACC was a pretty phenomenal thing back in 94, 95. Well, anyway, And, of course, you had UFOmind.com. And all of this was happening at the same time, and this swirling of information and the internet, and it was just amazing. And we had Art Bell each night coming into our homes, speaking about all of this and bringing these researchers on and these authors and all the ghost stuff and the paranormal and UFOs and Area 51, and he's out there in the kingdom of Nye. Those were great days. And I was able to sit there with my laptop in UFO Mind, and all of these subjects were coming onto Art Bell, and I would click on these links, and I would go and research and make my notes and dive deeper into each one of these subjects night after night after night after night. There is no way to measure the impact that he had on myself, popular culture, our community, and the many guests that he interviewed each night. And our thoughts and prayers go out to his wife, children, and family. Art Bell, rest in peace. He was 72. All right? And I'm going to allow Art Bell to transmit through you guys. If Thursday night's coming up, you want to talk about art, that's fine. I get that. And we will move on. The show will move on. That's the way that it is, and he was a radio pioneer. I was speaking to a close friend of this show and our family today, and the conversation went, Art got it from somewhere, didn't he? And I said, well, I'm not so sure. I mean, there was Billy Goodman going on in Las Vegas, and we had Bill Jenkins out here in Los Angeles. And then before that, of course, it was Long John Nebel. And there were other shows that were going on around this country. You had Nighthawk with George Norrie. And there were other things that were happening around this country before. So, but I'm not so sure that he took anything from those shows, because he was a music DJ, right? He had his political show and just morphed into what he did on Coast. So I'm not so sure if he was influenced by anybody else, like others today, like myself, who were influenced so much by Art Bell. But he influenced so many that there are a gazillion great show hosts out there that will continue and will look back and remember their favorite Art Bell shows from the past and take a little piece of that and mold it into their own and move forward. And that's my take on it, and I'm no different. And it's just the way that it is. It's like a great basketball player. It's got a little piece of Michael Jordan in him, right? A little piece of Kobe. And they move on and they evolve. And that's where we are right now. So rest in peace, Art Bell. Friday the 13th, it almost seemed too perfect. And there you go, 72 years old. All right. There you go. Okay. Moving on, a little choked up, as it should be. Onstellar.com, ONSTELLAR.com. I want everybody to go and register. Use the promo code Jimmy. Get your screen name right now. Reserve it. We're going to be going into the alpha and beta testing phases here within the next 2 weeks. As promised, I will say this. On Friday, Rita and I were able to go and take a tour of Onstellar. And I'm going to say this right now. It is pretty bleeping amazing. I cannot be more excited. I do know this, that everything that you need or want out of a social media platform, you've got it. Okay? So everything that you love about any of the platforms, and I'm talking about YouTube or Twitter or Facebook, Instagram, anything that you love about those, you've got here. And I can't believe it. The look, the feel, the system, the user interface, the user experience is perfect. Perfect. It is so ginormous and so complex and so technical, and to think that it's all done and working, it's mind-blowing. So before the beta and alpha testing go through, everything's functional. There's 1,000 bug fixes that they're working on, just little tiny little things, but the list is long, right? So they're just going through and ironing out some stuff, but it's all there. And wait till you see what it looks like. It's incredible. And the concept behind it. Now, of course, the blockchain is one thing, and that's the most beautiful part. So no advertising and all of that crazy stuff and nothing clouding up your things and your videos and all of that is gone. That's one beautiful thing. It is so clean because you don't have that part. Just imagine that. No advertising in your feed. Oh, my God. That right there. And there's one other thing that is critical here. Well, there's about 100. But let me say this about Onstellar. Facebook, about, I'm going to say 2010, 2011, 2012, right in there, started to throttle back who got to see your comment or your update. Right? And suddenly, instead of it going out to everybody on your friends list, you had 100 on your friends list and went to 10 people, 15. And you were like, what the heck? Didn't you read what I said? No, I didn't. How do you know? Well, dude, it never came up in my newsfeed. All of that is over. Everything is going out to everybody. Think about that. All right? They're in your friends list. They are going to see what you have to say. So think about that. Right out of the get-go. And there's going to be no throttling back. It's not going to be that way. Go and register now on Onstellar, ONSTELLAR.com. Use the promo code Jimmy. You're going to want to do that. So use the promo code Jimmy. Reserve your screen name today. All right. Did you already set up your Onstellar homepage? I haven't done that yet, but everybody will. You're going to be able to go in and dance here very, very soon. When Onstellar launches, which is going to be in Q3, you're talking about, 1 million or 2 users, over a couple of weeks that, once the platform launches. And I get that. People don't want to register until it gets launched and they want to go see it first. And I totally get that. I totally understand. But for those of you that have registered in advance, you're going to be able to get in there, go and poke around, set up your page and go and check it out. Then you are going to be out there yelling at everybody. Oh my, it's that good. You'll see. It's that good. And I'm telling you, Silicon Valley better be scared. They better be really, 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 really nervous. It's that amazing. All right. Where are we at now? It's coming up. It's coming up quick. We're already here on April 16th. Hope you got your taxes done. We're sitting here on April 16th. And so now in 6 short weeks, a blink of an eye, we will be at Contact in the Desert, June 1st through the 4th, 2018, in Indian Wells, Palm Springs at the Renaissance Resort and Spa. Go and get your tickets and info now. Go. Click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Get ready. We're going to be doing, I got a phone call today. We're going to be doing a series of live Periscope feeds. Oh, Rita, I forgot to tell you about that. Little short and sweet ones. So I'm gonna get out there over the next couple of weeks and do some live Periscope feeds. Short ones about Contact in the Desert. But we've got a full weekend planned. We're going to be broadcasting live Friday night, like we always do each year, and I'll be hosting events all weekend long. And so just come and hang out. It is the biggest and best UFO conference in the entire world, June 1st through the 4th, 2018. And coming up, August 9th through the 12th is our conference, and it is the Soul Tech Gathering up at ECETI Ranch. And all you need to do is go to soultechgathering.com. You've heard us talk about all of the magic and all of the fun that ECETI brings. And it is absolutely incredible. I was talking to Clyde Lewis today. He gave me a call. And we were talking about ECETI. And we spent like 15 minutes talking about how great ECETI is. See, he lives up there. He can drive over there all the time, and he does. But ECETI is a magical place. And we're going to be doing the sky watches every night. We're going to be teaching during the day, camping and hanging out and fun. Please get your tickets now. We're only selling 300 tickets to the Fadernauts. SoulTechGathering.com. All right, and don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. We have over 835 archive shows right there for your listening pleasure. Just $2 a month. You can also become a Fadernaut, and you can do that over in our membership section on the site. Very simple, where you get the Bunker Cam. Hello, everybody, on the Bunker Cam tonight. Commercial-free, downloadable archives. And you can even get the Game Changer. We've got the new shirts and hats. They're shipping, by the way. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow night. I'll bring in the new shirts. Yeah, you want to see them? They're pretty cool. So if you renew your Game Changer, you'll get the new T-shirts. The new hats, too. The new hats aren't all that different. They're just different. But the new shirts are cool. Okay, so there you go. All right, don't forget all of our sponsors. Life Change Tea, GetTheTea.com, River Moon Coffee, New Pharma, Ancient Life Oil, Sacred Skulls, New Mana Food Storage, and, of course, Bearing Optics. Let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to today. John Cryer is 53. Yep. You know why he makes the list? One movie, Pretty in Pink. John Cryer today is 53. I can't believe that, 53 years old. Our dead guy's birthday today is Wilbur Wright. 1867 to 1912, died at the age of 45. He was co-pilot of the first airplane flight, Kitty Hawk on the beach, became ill on a business trip to Boston in April of 1912. And from eating shellfish at a banquet. After returning to Dayton, Ohio in early May 1912, worn down, tired, he fell ill again and was diagnosed with typhoid fever. Wilbur died at the age of 45 at the Wright family home on May 30th. Wilbur Wright. Happy birthday. On this day in history, OTD, a big one, 1964, the Rolling Stones released their first album, and it was called The Rolling Stones. Fader fact. All right. I talk about this often, but let's do this. Let's get a little tasty taste here. I want you to understand something. If Earth's history was set up for a 24-hour clock, right? Okay, are you with me? Earth's history, 24 hours. Life wouldn't have appeared until 4 a.m. Land plants at 10:24 p.m. Dinosaur extinction, 11:41 p.m. And human history wouldn't have begun until 11:58 and 43 seconds. The last minute. Think about that, and that is a Fader fact. Tonight we have Scott Wolter with us, a researcher, host of America Unearthed. He's going to give us the final piece to the puzzle. That's what we're going to get tonight. But I want to let everybody know that an asteroid similar in size to the one that exploded 100 years ago in Russia's Tunguska region in Siberia flew by Earth yesterday. Yeah, on April 15th. And it was just one day after astronomers discovered it. The asteroid, designated 2018 GE3, made its closest approach to Earth at around 11:41 p.m. last night Pacific time, whizzing by at 119,000 miles from Earth, half the distance between the Earth and the Moon. Think about that for a second. This asteroid measures about 360 feet wide, making the space rock up to 3.5 times the size of the one that leveled 500,000 acres of Siberian forest when it exploded over Tunguska in 1908. The asteroid 2018 GE3 was first spotted on Saturday, April 14th at 2:23 a.m. Pacific time by astronomers at the Catalina Sky Survey at the University of Arizona in Tucson. This first sighting occurred just 21 hours before the asteroid's closest approach to Earth. Think about that for a second. We had no warning. None. And just a few seconds, just a little, anything being hit. It would have hit. Think about that. That is mind-blowing to me. And, well, speaking of searching for things out there, SpaceX was gearing up to launch NASA's next big exoplanet hunter. And that was supposed to go down today. The launch of the Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, otherwise known as TESS, was scheduled to take off today. But it was delayed by at least 48 hours due to an issue with the spacecraft's rocket, a Falcon 9. TESS is designed to hunt for alien planets circling stars relatively close to its sun. The mission is expected to discover thousands of worlds in just 2 years. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Some of the new finds will be near enough to Earth to check out with NASA's $8.8 billion James Webb Space Telescope, which is scheduled to lift off in May of 2020. The Webb will be able to hunt for possible biosignatures, such as oxygen and methane, in the atmospheres of the test worlds it discovers. Think about that. Pretty incredible times that we live in, delayed by 48 hours. Kind of bummed about that. Falcon 9, here we go. All right, tonight, Scott Wolter joins us. He is the best, and tonight he is going to give us the missing piece to the puzzle of everything. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me right now on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Scott Wolter at The Real Scott Wolter. That's what you should do. His links are up there right now on Twitter. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. I'll be right back with our guest, Scott Wolter. Stay with me.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Natural Health Solutions with Chris and Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie, how you doing?
Great, Chris.
Now, you're the CEO of GetTheTea.com, right?
Yes, I am.
What is GetTheTea.com? I mean, is this tea you buy in a store?
Well, no, it's not. Life Change Tea is just that. Life-changing. Life Change Tea is an herbal tea that gently cleanses your body from intruders.
What do you mean by intruders?
Well, intruders are toxins, chemicals, GMOs, heavy metals, and more. They're in our food, in our water, in our air we breathe.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
And Life Change Tea will help you with removing these, as you say, intruders?
That's right, Chris.
Are there side effects with this tea?
Well, you might lose a little weight. When you clean your colon, you lose weight, you feel better, and you have more energy.
Wow. Ronnie, where can people purchase Life Change Tea?
Oh, that's easy. GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
Ronnie, I want to thank you for being on the show. People, don't forget, GetTheTea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Win big with KGRA this summer. Tickets and hotel accommodations to the biggest conferences, autographed books and DVDs, chances to win all-inclusive conference cruises, and private dinners with your favorite KGRA hosts. Click the contest tab at kgraradio.com for your chance to win big this summer. Your contact for the best alternative talk radio on the planet. kgraradio.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Matthew, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Scott Wolter is here. Tomorrow night, Jason Gleaves from the UK in his new book, UFO Photos, Computer Analysis. Wednesday night, Jason quit. And Thursday night, another Fader night with John Rappaport, followed by Open Lines. Kicking off another great, amazing week here on Fade to Black. It's Scott Wolter tonight. He is an author, host, researcher. Of course, hosted America Unearthed on History Channel. And he's been president of the American Petrographic Services since 1990. Scott is responsible for the independent he's just going to rip me one in about 2 seconds. Petrographic Analysis Testing Laboratory, where the Kensington Rune stone was brought in for investigation back in 2000. He has been the principal petrographer for more than 5,000 investigations throughout the U.S. and Canada and Puerto Rico, including the evaluation of the fire-damaged concrete at the Pentagon following the attacks of September 11th, 2001. Tonight, we're going to discuss the final piece to the puzzle. What is the one thing that ties everything together? Everything. From Jerusalem to the United States, our hidden history and what it means for the future of our world. I'd like to welcome back to Fade to Black, the one and only Scott Wolter. Scott, don't say anything about me getting tongue-tied.
Jimmy, I just had a great idea.
What's that?
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to talk to some of my friends in law enforcement.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, guys, here's your sobriety test. make them say this intro that Jimmy Church was. Actually, you did pretty well, but
it's every time.
It is a tongue twister.
Every time you're on the show, man, it's so funny. So funny. Now, so I'm going to let the cat out of the bag a little bit. I'm going to get Scott uncomfortable right here at the front of the show. About a month ago, everybody, Scott and I were having one of our fabulous and famous conversations over the phone. And Scott revealed to me at that time that in about, these are his words, Jimmy, in about an hour, somebody's going to arrive at my house with the most explosive information ever in the history of mankind, but I can't talk about it. And I went, wait a minute, Scott. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to have Scott on the show. So when I'm going to shut up right now. But when I'm armed and dangerous, so when he's on the show, I'll be able to pin him against the wall and find out what this exclusive, explosive information is. But we're going to do that in a bit. That's called a teaser, Scott. That's called a teaser for everybody. But, this show tonight, which you and I planned for a while and we're talking about, to suggest that this is the final piece to the puzzle show of everything, that's pretty heady stuff. And I kind of, and again, for the audience, I kind of know some things here, but I have asked Scott not to tell me anything, that I wanted to learn along with the rest of the audience tonight and go arm in arm, shoulder to shoulder, in lockstep with everybody and go through this tonight. I will say that what has been suggested to me is pretty amazing. So, Scott, when you say the final piece, and these are your words during our conversation, right?
Yep.
What are you suggesting here? What is not what is the final piece, but when you say the final piece to the puzzle, what are you suggesting the significance of this piece?
Well, this particular piece that we're talking about is the final piece that solves the Kensington Rune stone once and for all. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, gee, Scott, I thought you did the geology and you found the language and the runes and the dialectic grammar, all the stuff. All that stuff was proven. And you say the Knights Templar did it, and it was placed as a land claim and all that stuff. And I've already said all that.
Right.
And that's true. That's true. However, the final piece for me is, for a long time, all that stuff that I've talked about, the geology makes sense. And as you and I have talked about, Jim, one of the things that I tell people that I think they have a hard time with, but you and I just earlier had a conversation about rocks and about the power of minerals and rocks. But the runestone always had, even though the geology told me that it was real, and I trust the rocks, okay? Rocks don't have personalities. Rocks don't have egos. Rocks don't care. They just are. That's why I trust them. I don't trust people. I trust some people. I trust you. I trust a lot of people. There's a lot of people I don't trust. I can always trust the rocks. But when it came to the Kensington Rune stone inscription, there were always some things about its content that didn't make sense to me. For example, we were fishing one day, okay? Now, that's a long sentence. It takes almost a whole line of the 12-line inscription. Why would they write that? Of course they were fishing to sustain themselves, right? They were probably fishing every day. That's not what it means. It has to mean something else. That always bothered me. 10 men red from blood and death. What does that mean? I mean, I have argued that the Templars came over here and they aligned with their Native American brethren. I talked about that as well. They shared a common ideology that goes back to the Hooked X. So clearly, there's no way they're going to get to Kensington unless the natives let them. And we now know that they were strategically aligned and they traveled with them. Okay, so there was no battle between the natives and the Templars. So what does red from blood and death mean? And and there's some other things in here that just don't quite make sense.
And so
Now they do.
Well, okay. And then the significance of this extends outside of our borders. It goes back to the Mediterranean and Jerusalem. It certainly involves the Knights Templar, but it goes all the way back, and it is solving some of the questions that have gone on that nobody had connected, right? That are outside.
It does, and it does, and this is the focus of this new book that it's done, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to release it. You know, the standard way of publishing in the past, it's just not that way anymore. There's all kinds of other options, and I'm looking at that right now. But this discovery really is key because it explains a number of things. And one of the key points that I am now saying that is absolutely true is that the Kensington Rune Stone was the beginning of the founding of the United States of America.
So
this was
okay.
This was the first tangible stake in the ground. It was the land claim that began the whole thing.
The okay, now you're going to release. You have a book that you're going to release, which is finished. You have the second part that will be released in a little bit. I'm kind of letting
in a little bit. That's the thing that you were talking about when I said a person came to my house with this grand stuff. That's not what I'm talking about tonight. That's something else. Is it connected to what we're talking about tonight? Absolutely. But we're still in the process of vetting that. We have vetted it to the point that we know it's legit, but we're not ready to release it yet. But it's coming. But this revelation that we're talking about tonight is profound for a number of reasons. And can I tell you how it happened? You ready?
Yeah. Actually, let's do that. And I want to let the audience know that we're going to be doing this in stages because it starts to get a little bit complex. But I assure you that we will manage to tie it all together in the end.
Yep. But you know something, Jimmy? Here's the other thing that I will say, especially about an audience like yours. These people are not stupid. They're smart and want to learn. They want to gain new knowledge. And that's exactly what I'm about to do and share with them because it was knowledge that I was given, okay? And it came when I knocked on the door, as we say, and I became a Freemason. And that started about 2.5 years ago when I took my first degrees. And the first 3 degrees, the Entered Apprentice, Fellow Craft, and Master Mason, I took those 3 degrees. And if a person takes those degrees, they are a Freemason, they're fully vested, they're on the squad, anything you want to call it, you're good to go. However, after that, if you are a person that wants to seek additional light, additional knowledge, that's the code name, right? Light means knowledge. You have a couple of opportunities that you can go directly after that, and I did both of these simultaneously. I was like starving for more knowledge, more Masonic knowledge. You can go what they call the Scottish Rite, which is a total of 32 degrees, which builds off what we call the Blue Lodge, the first 3 degrees. So there's 29 additional degrees in the Scottish Rite, and then there is also a 33rd degree, which is an honorary thing. If you even talk about it, you won't get it. So I'm not going to talk about it, but it's out there, okay? Then you have what they call the York Rite degrees, which is an additional 10 degrees that also builds off the first 3 degrees. So really you're talking about a total of 13 degrees. Wait a minute, 13. I thought that was a bad luck number.
Well, I tell you what else is bad luck, right? There are people listening right now that immediately they hear Freemason, they throw their arms up, and it's like, oh man, Scott's a Freemason. I knew it. This is disinformation from the man. I mean,
no. Wait. First of all, if there is some secret connection within Freemasonry to some, Bilderberger group or Illuminati group that is running the world, I didn't get the ticket punched, okay? I'm telling you, that's BS. It's total BS. It has nothing to do with that. Are there people that are probably part of those groups that are Freemasons? I wouldn't doubt it. Nowadays, I would say the chances are even less than they were in the past, but no, once you join the Freemasons, you don't get some card that says, okay, now this is why we're running the world and this is how we're doing it. You could just throw that in the garbage. That's not the way it works. Okay?
But there's one.
I hate to disappoint some of the people out there. That's not the way it works.
Well, then there's the other part of it, whether it's folklore, mythology, or what have you, that Freemasons do one thing well, and that's keep secrets.
Well, actually, no. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. You know, actually, what we should do is just take a step back for a sec.
Okay.
We have, you know, everything in life, when you're talking about any subject, I don't care whether it's religion, it's politics, what your neighbor's doing, what your friends are doing, the thing that people always have to remember is context, okay? And what I mean by context is what is going on that will influence the subject that you're talking about, right? If you're talking about politics, we're talking about politics today, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 200 years ago,
right.
Because what was happening in the world 200 years ago is a hell of a lot different than what's happening today. You have to understand the context to really fully understand and appreciate whatever the topic is you're talking about. So when we're talking about Freemasonry, if you go back to the time of the Revolutionary War, when brothers were meeting in secret, the ones that were looking to fight the revolution against the British, and then there were British lodges that were over here as well, if you did not keep a secret, it was a matter of life and death. You could be killed, okay? So when they took those vows of secrecy, it was real. And it literally meant you could lose your life. Now, when we meet in lodge, do we have those kind of things at stake today? No, we don't. Not at all. In fact, the secrets that we learn in Masonry, if you go on the internet, you can find them in 2 seconds. But the point is that there are certain things that we just keep to ourselves, and that's it. I mean, within your business, Jimmy, with the people that you work with, are there things that you guys keep in-house? You don't talk to other people?
Just between you and I, we've got a couple of books.
Well, exactly.
Sure. I can respect that.
But you understand the context of Freemasonry today is a lot different than it was in the past. And even before the Revolution, you go back, there were wars, there were, the Templars were literally, at one point being hunted, tortured, and burned. They were fighting, the Moors going back in history. They were fighting other groups, and so they had to keep these secrets within themselves, and they were life and death situations. They're not that way anymore. It's just the context of the time within Freemasonry is totally different. The secrets that we share now, and they're not even really secrets. It's really up to you. Do you want to learn and grow and learn more secrets or more information? And really, that's what we pass on, is this knowledge, this information, if you will, historical information that's preserved within our degrees. And it was within one of these degrees that this epiphany happened that helped me to understand the Kensington Rune Stone. And if you don't mind, I'll try to explain it. And I'm going to say something here, Jimmy. It's a little bit controversial, okay? But it's absolutely 100% the truth. And I want people listening to understand I'm not going to say this because I'm trying to offend anybody or diminish anybody's beliefs or faiths. But what I'm going to tell you is real, it's true, and if you want to learn about it, you have to take a step back,
right?
Realize that maybe you don't have everything figured out, be humble, and then be ready to expand your mind. Okay, ready for this?
Let's do it.
All right. So, I'm going to talk about the Bible for a second. The Bible is full of stories, right, that have been interpreted by scholars, clergy, and people talk about these stories all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is one level. We know for sure, it's absolutely true, that most of those stories are not real history. It's not what people thought it was. It's actually allegorical. For example, many of the people in the Bible are not real people that lived. I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying some of them in some of these stories. They are actually, what these people or these events actually represent are interactions of stars, planets, constellations in the heavens.
Okay.
Some of those interactions can be interpreted, and they can actually be dated historically. For example, sometimes you will have a certain character who's interacting with another character. And actually what they're talking about is when the moon was inside the constellation of Orion when it passed the star at this time. And this is another one that a lot of people struggle with. And I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to do that one. But the point is that when you become initiated in certain degrees, you learn that the level of the story that you're learning is actually not what it appears to be. It's actually something else. And the point of all this is that when I went through a particular degree in the York Rite Masonic branch, specifically the Select Master degree of what they call the Cryptic Council, something happened in that degree that clicked. And all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, that's the story on the Kensington Runestone. It's not the story that everybody thought it was. The 10 dead men did not get killed by natives. It's an allegory. And the allegory is in a Masonic degree. And this degree basically takes place at the time of the building of the first temple. And right before they finished building the temple, the three Grand Masters decided, King Solomon, Hiram Abiff, and Hiram, King of Tyre. Tyre is in Lebanon, where all the wood came to help build the temple with the forms and the framing and everything else. But they decided that they were going to build a secret vault 9 levels below the Sanctum Sanctorum, where the Holy of Holies was in the temple in Jerusalem. And they were going to hide inside this. And this is a secret, but I've been given permission to talk about it. What they were going to hide in that secret vault was a copy of the true treasures that were kept inside the Holy of Holies, which includes the Ark of the Covenant. So what that means is there was a second ark 9 levels below, along with the other sacred treasures. In fact, maybe the originals were down in the 9th arch. But then in the degree, and what we learn in that particular degree, is what is in and on the Ark of the Covenant. One of the things, of course, everybody knows is the 10 Commandments, right?
Right.
So in the degree, it goes on a little bit further. And at the end of the theatrical performance part, there's a lecture at the end. And one of the white hats, we call them the white hats, the 33rd degree Masons, gives a lecture. And he stands up in front of the class, and they give a beautiful lecture. And at one point in the lecture, he said, and the other 8 arches were built by 22 men from Gebel. And I went, 8 and 22? Those are the first 2 numbers on the Kensington Runestone. And I didn't hear another thing after that.
Right, of course not.
Now think about it this way. Remember, there's the 9th arch, and then there's 8 other arches. 8 and 22, and I went, wait a minute, that can't be a coincidence. And I went to my Masonic mentor, John Friedberg. I said, John, is there a ritual book for this? He said, yeah. I said, give me that. And I started to go through it, and Jimmy, you know what happened? The rest of the 8 numbers that occur on the Kensington Runestone inscription occur in the degree in sequence, all 8 of them. All 8 of them. Now think about that for a second. How many numbers do you have to pick to win the lottery?
Yeah, right. Well, okay.
Think about that for a second. Absorb that for a second, okay?
Right.
That is not a coincidence.
No.
Now, the first 4 numbers, okay? And the inscription reads like this: 8 Goths and 22 Northmen on this acquisition business from Vinland far to the west. We had a camp near 2 shelters, 1 day's journey from this stone. So the first number is 8, right? And the next number is 22. What's 8 plus 22?
Well, 30.
Okay. Plus 2 shelters.
32.
Plus 1 day's journey?
Grandmaster.
That is the Scottish Rite degree system.
Right.
Right there.
Right.
Okay? Now, could be a coincidence, right?
Right.
No. In the degree, there are 2 guys, 2 guards. There is another important character, one more guy who's introduced after that. Because of what this guy does, one of those guys gets killed. There's 1. He ends up down in the secret vault where there is what? The Ark and the 10 Commandments. 10 men read from blood and death. At that point in the ritual, it gets very violent. Literally, a guy is standing in a garb. His eyes are poked out, and he's covered in blood. In the degree. Then we go on to the backside where we have the second 10, right? The second ark. And then the last number is 14. And in the number 14 is the number of resurrection. You probably don't even know why that is. Are you Catholic, Jimmy?
Yeah, I am Catholic, and I'm feeling very un-Catholic at the moment.
Okay. Well, tell you what. I'm going to tell you something real quick about the number 14, why it's the number of resurrection. You've heard of Isis and Osiris, right?
Of course.
Okay, the Egyptian mysteries, and you understand what the Egyptian mysteries are.
Yes.
Basically what happens is Osiris goes on a journey to meet his brother Set. Set, he doesn't realize, is angry at him, and he kills him. And he cuts his body up into 14 pieces.
That's right.
And he places those pieces along the Nile for the crocodiles to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Now Isis, who becomes distraught and is looking for her lover, right? She finds those body parts, but she only finds 13.
She doesn't find his pee-pee.
Exactly.
Right.
She doesn't find his phallic, but she crafts one, depending on which mystery you read, out of either beeswax or gold. She inseminates herself. Horus is born. He grows up to be Osiris, and the entire story starts over again, right? And what is that story? That story is nothing more than an allegory for the annual cycle of life on the planet. Birth in the spring, death in the fall, resurrection on the winter solstice. That same story is played out in the Christian story in every single Catholic church around the world, in the Stations of the Cross. How many Stations of the Cross are there?
Talk to me.
You know the number. 14.
Oh, got you.
Now.
Okay.
Now, taking away anything, because I don't want to ruin it for anything, for any potential, people out there that might consider becoming a Freemason. I mean, there might be some out there.
Right. Well, hold on, Scott. I need to take a break right here.
Oh, okay.
So let's do that now. I need to burn some sage and clean the bunker out after that. After that comes.
All right.
But we'll do that. And just so everybody knows, Scott does this to me on the phone. He asks me these questions. So Jimmy, and I'm like, dude, you're making me feel.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot. I need someone to bounce this stuff off, and I love you for doing this because you're being the fall guy for me, and I love you for it. Thank you.
I appreciate it, Scott. I'll be your fall guy. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Scott Wolter with the final piece to everything. I'll be right back.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science
and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Beckley Tappy.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Ancient Life Oil. Life-changing. The real oil. CBD is truly ancient life oil from the source. This oil has no psychoactive effect and is also legal in all 50 states. When you're healthy, you're happy. The truth about this wonderful plant is that it wants to give back to mankind life, longevity, and happiness. Ancient Life Oil are golden grade, all organic, non-GMO, and infused with high-quality liquid coconut oil. It's simple. Just go to ancientlifeoil.com today. That's ancientlifeoil.com. The best, purest, organic, and non-GMO CBD in the world. Go Beckley Tappy. The statements made regarding these products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Scott at Real Scott Wolter. There's a lot of imitators out there, so he had to put the real in there for Twitter. Tomorrow night, Jason Gleaves is going to be here, and Wednesday night, Jason quit. Tonight, it's Scott Wolter. And Scott, going back to right before the break, if we're laying out the 9 arches and the 8 and 22 and these very significant points that have nothing to do with a land grab, are we taking land grab now for everybody else out there when they think about the Kensington Rune stone? Are we taking that off the table?
No. And you know what? You just teed up a beautiful point. And here's the point. The runestone contains, much of the runestone inscription, as I was alluding to with my example at the last segment, is allegory. It's not real, okay? It's symbolic of something else. But there are also there's real historical truth within the runestone. One of those pieces is acquisition business or taking up land. No question about it, as I've argued in my past books. It's on the Continental Divide, consistent with 14th century land claims. It's in the geographic center of North America. No question that it's a land claim. There's also a couple of other pieces that I think are also information that is telling us about where something is.
Right.
That something else is a secret vault to the west, far to the west, 14 days journey. So there are pieces of real information within the Kensington Rune inscription embedded within Allegory. And here's the beautiful thing about this. And I've said this to my Masonic brothers, and they all nod their heads and go, oh my God, that's amazing. And the point is this, is that within these degrees, which we know are ancient, okay, are real historical truths. The difficult part is trying to figure out what's real and what's not. Some people are seekers and they try to dig in and they will mine some of that real information out of it. But a lot of brothers won't. It just goes right over their head. They do the degree, they enjoy it for what it is, and they don't think another thing about it. But the point is this, is that paper can degrade, can be burned, can be lost. The information on it can be lost. You can carve things in stone, but even rock will disintegrate over time and can be destroyed. But as long as there are human beings that are performing these rituals, the historical truths embedded within them will live on forever. It's an amazing, beautiful system of passing on these degrees. And I tell guys this, and I say, hey guys, it doesn't matter if you understand what the real truths are within those degrees. The point is that you are keeping these traditions alive, whether you realize it or not. So take it seriously. And that's exactly what's going on in the runestone. And that is the epiphany that I came to when I went through this degree and I realized that these numbers were exactly the same as on the Kensington runestone, which means that the carver of the runestone was initiated. He knew the Enochian legend of the 9 archers in the secret vault. But here's the part that's cool. If you read Bill Mann's book, Bill Mann, by the way, is a longtime friend. He's written many books about the Knights Templar. He lives in Canada. He is a Masonic Knights Templar. And in fact, a year from this June 21st, he will be installed as the Supreme Grand Master of the Masonic Knights Templar in Canada, for all of Canada. Bill is also half Native. He knows all about the natives and the Templars interacting starting in the 12th century all the way through until contact. And what Bill has written a book about, and he and I have been talking about for years, is that when the Templars came over here, they went far to the west, where the natives showed them a series of caves in the Rocky Mountains, and they brought part of the treasure and put it in the secret vault. So the allegory of the secret vault that everybody thinks is just an allegory actually is real. Now, think about this, Jimmy. Nobody has ever thought about this before, but it'll make sense to you. The Louisiana Purchase, did it ever occur to anybody that there was a crown jewel hidden within the Louisiana Purchase? Do you remember that Thomas Jefferson was the ambassador to France, in France? He would live there for 5 years. Many people argue to this day that he was not a Mason. Well, he was a Mason. He was a member of the Lodge of Nine Sisters in France with people like Benjamin Franklin, Voltaire, and other very important historical figures. I believe, as Bill believes, that somebody whispered in his ear when he was over in France about the secret vault in Montana. There's no question, it's historically documented, that Meriwether Lewis, who was a Freemason, had secret communications with Thomas Jefferson. William Clark was not a Mason when they went on the Corps of Discovery's expedition. And in July of 1804, at the mouth of the Little Big Fork River in Montana, Meriwether Lewis separated from William Clark for 6 weeks. He went up that river, and if you read Undaunted Courage, you can read his journals. They get very light for the next 2 weeks. And what he wanted to do was he met with, probably heard of a woman named Sacagawea?
Yep.
Her brother was Kamehameha, the chief of the Shoshone, the horse people. She introduced Lewis to her brother. And when they greeted with a Masonic greeting. And he flashed the proper colors. The 13 stripes on the red and white of our flag with the 5-pointed star. Because the natives, if you look at their garb, if you look at their symbolism, they have the 5-pointed star all over the place. We have it on our flag. And then what he asked Kamehameha to do was to introduce him to the chief of the Blackfoot. The Blackfoot are the guardians of the secret vault. On the runestone are directions to the secret vault. That's the information I believe, and Bill believes, is embedded within it. And I can also tell you this, in 2011, I went there. So this is kind of a big bomb.
Okay.
Now,
Wait. Whoa. Love
so we
saying
paid
that.
$2 million for the Louisiana Purchase. I can tell you, not only was the land a good deal, but we got a bonus too.
Okay, so 2011, you and I have never talked about this before.
I never talked to anyone about it.
Okay, so you went there.
I did.
Did you find it?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Oh, Scott Wolter. It was in Montana, Big Fork River.
Yes.
Were the directions, the way that you were able to decode it on the rune stone, was it accurate?
Yes.
So you had no issues?
Oh.
Really?
That's why, because I had already been there, I knew when I was initiated and I went through the degree and I decoded it, I went, holy shit.
Well, okay. So supposing you did get there, you can't confirm nor deny, but supposing that you did, what would you have found?
Evidence that the story's true. Let's just leave it at that. The story is true. Now, hold on. Who else knew about it? Well, Thomas Jefferson knew about it. Meriwether Lewis knew about it.
Right.
And Lewis got killed. Remember that?
Yes. Okay.
He committed suicide, right?
Okay, so you're Howard Carter.
Yes.
You're Howard Carter. You get to the secret vault, and you peer inside. Was it empty?
Well, let me ask you this. Let's just do a couple things. First off, in this new book, I will write about this. I will answer some of these questions, okay? I can't just give it all away. Nobody will buy the book.
Right.
But I will tell you that there are clues in Washington, D.C. about what was in that vault. Hidden in plain sight for everyone to see, but you have to have the eyes to see. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah.
It does. It does.
And I will reveal these in the book, and when I do, you will. It'll all kind of come together. Now, I don't want to give too much away, but I will tell you that this whole thing about Jefferson and Lewis and the secret vault. So let me just ask you a hypothetical question. So let's just say the Templars came here, and they did. And the guys that carved the Kensington Rune stone, they didn't go back. They stayed. They assimilated with the natives. Within 1 or 2 generations, you couldn't tell that they were Templars, but their blood continued on, right? So you know how this story is going to be proven someday?
DNA.
You got it. Nail on the head. Because people are going to say, that's a bunch of BS, Scott. You can never prove it. Really? Yes, we can. And remember that movie Trading Places? Those 2 rich guys. Oh, I forget not Ed Ames, but That was Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. Remember that movie? It was a classic movie.
Absolutely.
And those rich, stuck-up guys, they used to say, "It's in the blood, Randolph." Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
They were right. The truth is in the blood. By the way, Sacagawea, we had a gold coin minted in United States currency for her. You know what the rumor is?
Wait. Mortimer.
Yes.
Mortimer. I'm trying to think of his brother's name.
Yeah. Mortimer.
He was
the mellow guy, and then the other one was the hyper one.
Randolph.
Yeah, Randolph. It's
Don
in the blood, Randolph.
Amici and Ralph Bellamy.
You got it. Good job. Oh, that's brilliant. I would never have come up with that.
I'm feeling pretty good about myself.
You got it.
I'm feeling pretty good about
myself.
myself.
So anyway, but you know what I'm talking about. That was really good, by the way. I'm really impressed with that.
Well, a big Eddie Murphy guy, and also in Coming to America, they do a little stand-in where they come up and knock on the window and look in, and they're like,
those two guys?
Yeah, and they're
that's awesome.
They're on a date, and she goes, "Who are those guys?" Oh, just. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
So if you saw the other movie, you'd know right away, and it's I love
absolutely.
it. I love it.
Now back to there's a point that we got ahead of our skis a little bit. I need
we got
everybody
out over our tips of our skis.
I just want to go back to so everybody understands. There are elements on the Kensington Rune stone that go back to the temple, and one of them is the number 9. On the Kensington Rune stone. There are 9 elements there. There are 9 arches underneath the temple. What are the 9 elements on the Kensington Rune stone?
Well, if you want to get into the details, we'll get into the details. Remember, the 8 and 22 are the other arches. The 3 Grand Masters could be symbolized by this 3 strange, very ornate O-runes that really don't need to be strange and ornate. Symbolically, I think they represent the 3 Grand Masters. Now, in the degree, at one point it says, and the secret work, in other words, the building of the arches, the secret work was conducted from 9 until midnight, when all prying eyes are closed in sleep. So let me ask you this, Jim. 9 plus what equals 12?
3.
Okay. How many lines of text are on the face side of the Kensington Rune stone?
Hold on, let me count. You're really going to have me do this? Are you going to tell me the number is 12?
I mean, you basically just did it. 9. Plus how many on the side?
Okay, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. On the side, 1. Well, does the last one count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Boom. 9 plus 3 is 12. Now, that could be a coincidence.
Yeah.
But here we have another coincidence. So there are 8 numbers that occur in sequence. 8, 22, 2, 1, 1, 10, 10, 14. Okay? I've explained basically in the degree they all occur in sequence. Here's another thing that's very interesting. There are 8 G runes on the Kensington Rune stone. This G rune is backwards. It's not that's one of the things that confuse the scholars. It's supposed to be to the right, it's to the left. There are 10 W runes on the rune stone. And there is no W rune in the runic alphabet. There are 14 individual numbers on the Kensington Rune stone. They're numbers you almost never see in runic inscriptions. This is another one of the problems of the Kensington Rune stone. And guess how many hooked X's there are?
I'm counting right now. How many?
22.
22. Interesting.
So these are what we call confirmation codes. You follow me?
I do.
Are these another set of coincidences?
Right.
I mean, it's just getting stupid now. So this inscription is carefully crafted, and it's not something that was just done willy-nilly. It has nothing to do with 10 men being killed by natives. It's a brilliant inscription. There's so much embedded within it, and there's truths that tell us where the vault is. It's just ridiculous. But at the same time, it's a land claim. So I think the thing that you have to, it's hard sometimes for people, but there's so many levels to this inscription, and it's totally in keeping with how Freemasonry is. And it's exactly what's happening in the Bible. It's the same thing. When you get initiated with a higher level, the priests, the true initiates, understand that the stories in the Bible have a whole nother layer to them.
I have two.
Allegorical. Most of it's allegorical. It's not real people. Does that make sense?
It does. And I have two questions.
Okay.
The first one, in the secret vault, was there anything placed there that was removed? And if there was something that was there that was removed, who raided it?
We did.
We did. Okay. Third question.
I mean, look, we bought it, right? We bought it.
Right.
It's ours.
Did you take pictures?
But it wasn't brought back. Well, I should say some of it wasn't brought back until the country was stabilized, until the late 1800s. It was after the Civil War.
If you would have gone to the secret vault, Scott, would you have taken pictures?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
But if you would have gone, you would have taken pictures or video. So now, third question is this. You may not have seen it yet or been exposed to it. Do you expect to be exposed to something within Freemasonry or the Knights Templar that speaks directly about the Kensington Rune stone?
Yep.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
You would expect to be exposed, or you have been exposed?
I'm the only one that. Well, I just told you. I mean, the ritual code on the Kensington Runestone is in the Select Master degree, but there's another degree that refers to what I believe is the runestone, but nobody else gets it. Yeah, and it's not because I'm special. It's because I know the runestone better than any living person on the planet right now.
That's right.
I mean, Dick Nielsen would have been, but Dick died a year and a half ago. Rest his soul. But he passed on all that knowledge to me, and and it was because I knew the runestone so well that those numbers jumped out at me. I mean, who else is going to pick out the 8 and 22? But let me tell you something else, Jim. There's a lot more here. Remember I talked about how things are in multiple levels?
Yes.
Let me just give you one more little interesting tidbit about the numbers and about the runestone. It goes back to our founding fathers, and this is all one giant spider web that interconnects, okay? Did you know, because this was published by Alan Butler in his book, Washington, D.C., City of the Goddess. Did you know that when our founding fathers founded this country, they wanted to make the megalithic yard measuring system our nation's measuring system? Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Nobody knows that. You know who was the proponent of that? Thomas Jefferson. But it was voted over, and we ended up using the English foot, right? But did you know that our founding fathers said, screw that? They laid out our entire capital city using the megalithic yard measuring system anyway?
So if that is indeed the case, where why does the Kensington Runestone say that they've completed things?
Well, the reason is because this was all planned out long in advance, okay? And it was the mission was planned out centuries before our country was ever founded. And if you stop and think about it, What did look, the Founding Fathers finished the job. They didn't, people have said to me many times, so why didn't they go back and claim the runestone and claim the land? I go, because they already did. They passed the obligation, they passed the mission on to their ideological brethren, the Freemasons, our Founding Fathers. They finished the job. There was no need to exercise the land claim because they finished it. The country is here, right? And you know what I find is incredible is that George Washington, Ben Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, all these guys are founding fathers. George Mason is another one who doesn't get anywhere near the credit that he deserves. These guys are lionized in our society, in our country, to the point of near godlike status. Would you agree?
I do.
Fact. They were all Freemasons, right? My question is, does the fact that they were Freemasons have anything to do with their greatness? I would, being biased and a Mason, I would say yes. Do you know that our Declaration, our Constitution, our Bill of Rights are Masonic documents?
And when you say these, for again, you have the dark mythology behind Freemasonry for those that aren't Freemasons, or there's plenty of books and things and documentaries that go pretty harsh onto the subject of Freemasons and who they were, all the way to the astronauts,
they were all brothers. They formed. They opened a lodge on the moon. Did you know that?
Yeah, they went up. What do you call the aprons?
The Masonic apron.
Yeah,
we call it an apron.
And very precious cargo. I mean, weight is everything, right? And,
yeah.
And they made sure that
they had their aprons. They were wearing them underneath their suits. Now, let me ask you this: the Constitution. Okay, our nation's Constitution, is that dark?
I would say so.
You'd say it's dark?
I would say that it was not dark. I would say that it was challenging because it was so different from tradition.
But we all pledge allegiance to the flag. We defend the Constitution. I mean, that is the essence of our nation, right?
Right.
And if you read it, it's not dark. What it does is it gives people rights. I mean, we're talking about these things right now every day in politics. But if you stop and think about it, and I don't know why people don't talk about this, because it's so obvious, right? Why did the Templars come over here? They came over here because they were being persecuted for their ideology. Now, what the narrative is that they were persecuted because they owed the King of France money. Well, they did owe him money, or he owed them money. But it wasn't over money, okay? You don't arrest somebody, torture, and burn them over money. You burn them because you're pissed, okay? And why were they pissed? Because the church had aligned with the monarchs of Europe. One legitimized the other, right? They had this incestuous relationship that basically gave them ultimate power to basically do whatever they wanted to the people. And the one threat that they had was the Knights Templar. And it gets into the economy and the things that they were able to do that undermined the feudalistic system. But more important than that, the church figured out that the Templars were not the good Catholics that they thought they were. In fact, they pretended to be Catholic. They actually were not Catholic at all. But they used the symbols of the Catholic Church for their own purposes, when in fact the symbols of the church were symbols that are much more ancient, that actually belong to the tradition that the Templars came from, going back to the Hebrews, the Egyptians, and beyond. And so it was an ancient ideology, an ancient philosophy that they embraced, and they simply pretended to be Catholic to further their agenda. You ever heard that old phrase? Keep your friends close, your enemies closer.
That's exactly right. And we'll take a break right here, my friend. I'm going to keep you real close. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Scott Wolter. I'll be right back. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously. Go Beckley Tappy.
Do you worry a lot? Whether you're a college student, busy professional, parent, or grandparent, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in 1 to 2 weeks. Call 1-800-758-8746 or calmandclever.com.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. Our guest tonight, Scott Wolter. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Scott at RealScottWolter. Now, Scott, as we start to tie all of this together, I want to talk about the five-pointed star.
Right.
The five-pointed star. That generals wear it on their shoulders, right?
Yeah.
We've got it on the flag. It is a symbol that goes back thousands of years. It's on the roof of the ceilings of tombs in Egypt. And, of course, you know, it's all over Central and South America. The five-pointed star. It's a heavy symbol. What is it?
Well, it's funny. I've been thinking about it lately. I've kind of known this truth about it for a long time, but it just dawned on me recently, and I started asking friends, work associates, just anybody on the street. And I say to them, I go, do you know where this symbol came from? What's the origin of the five-pointed star? And they kind of look at me like, well, what do you mean? I go, well, where did it come from? I go, you pledge allegiance to it every day, but yet do you know what it means? It's on our flag, right? It's on the generals' uniforms. It's all over. Well, what most people don't realize is that it is a goddess symbol. It's a symbol that represents the goddess. What do I mean by that? Well, ancient astronomers, and you can do it to this day, when they view the movement of the planet Venus over 8 Earth years, it will make a five-pointed star.
Say that again?
Yes. As we view astronomically the movement of Venus, now remember, we go around 8 times. We're a farther orbit, right? Venus is an inner orbit. It travels faster. So its movements as it goes around the sun, as it travels faster than we do, actually makes a five-pointed star. A pentagram. Okay? Now, why is that a symbol of the goddess? Why is it that Venus, the planet Venus, has always been considered in ancient cultures the physical manifestation of the goddess in the heavens? And why is it that the Templars venerated the goddess? It's because of Venus. Now, when we view it over 8 Earth years, the number 8, okay? What's the first thing on the Kensington Rune stone? The number 8. How many total numbers are in that code that I think I've discovered? 8 numbers, right? 8. What is it about 8 that's so sacred? This is what's sacred about it. Now, why is it the symbol of the goddess? I'll tell you. So, Jimmy and audience members, if you have a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper, just draw a five-pointed star, okay? Do it in your mind if you don't have a piece of paper. Now, where the line crosses, okay, say the peak at the top, and then the horizontal arm that makes the 2 arms going right and left, when it intersects those 2 lines of the peak and those 5 lines in the middle of a pentagram is called a pentagon, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The length of that line that makes any one of those 5 lines of the pentagon in the middle of the pentagram, if you assign it a value of 1, the length of the arm going beyond that is 1.618 something, something, something. That ratio is the golden ratio or the Fibonacci sequence. That is the rate at which the exponential growth of the spiral of a shell.
Mm-hmm.
That is why a spiral is a goddess symbol. The reason is that's the rate at which a shell grows, a leaf grows, our bodies are proportioned the same way. Rocks grow, crystallize at this same rate, the same Fibonacci sequence. A hurricane is a spiral. It has the Fibonacci sequence. A galaxy, the spiral of a galaxy, same thing. When you shave in the morning, Jimmy, and you see the water go down the drain, the Fibonacci sequence. The Fibonacci sequence, this golden ratio, is in everything, not just in life, but in the planet, literally, in the rocks, and in the galaxy.
That's right.
Everywhere.
Yeah, it's the building
That is
blocks of
why.
the universe. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Ed Nightingale and his research with the Fibonacci sequence and the way it lays out from the crown of the Sphinx and how it lays out all of the temples.
It has the Fibonacci sequence in it.
Right. From
Yes.
It's pretty amazing. But there's something else that comes to mind here. The Egyptian hieroglyph representing the star, which is 5 lines, and they always use that for the star Sirius. But in Mesopotamia, the star symbol has 8.
Yes.
Now that's pretty.
Now, okay, so now you see the relationship, right?
Right.
Now, it gets even better, because when you look at the Fibonacci sequence, basically what you do is you take the first two numbers and you add them together, and then then the sum you add to the previous highest number. So, for example, it goes like this: 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 plus 5 is 13, and so on, right?
Right.
So with that's the Fibonacci sequence right there. That's the rate of growth, that 1.1618, blah, blah, blah. Now, if Earth goes around the sun 8 times, 8 years, to create the pentagram, how many times does Venus go around the sun during that same 8 Earth years?
You're going to tell me.
Well, remember, it's moving faster, right? So it's more than 8, right? It's 13.
Oh, really?
Remember the Fibonacci sequence?
Right.
5, 8, 13. That is why 13 is the number of the goddess. There's another reason why 13 is the number of the goddess. There are 3 heavenly bodies that comprise what they call in ancient mysticism the triple goddess. One is Venus. The second one is the moon. Why is the moon considered a feminine? Because there are 13 synodic cycles in a calendar year of the moon, right?
Right.
Which corresponds to what? Women's menstrual cycles. So they talk about the moon goddess. Now you know why. So what's the third heavenly body that comprises the triple goddess? Mother Earth, right?
The Earth.
Which the entire thing is the Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio. You with me?
Yes, I am.
So this mathematical basis for everything that happens in the galaxy is why in Freemasonry we call God the great architect of the universe. And as a scientist, I love that because it's about the numbers. So now you know why the Templars venerate the goddess, why 8 is so sacred. 8 is the number of the goddess along with 13. That's why we had 13 colonies. We have 13 stripes on our flag. That's why natives, when they bury a cache of stones, church stones that they will make weapons out of, they hide a cache, 13 of them. It's incredible. The more you look, the more you see. Look on the back of a dollar bill. You know where the eagle is? The bald eagle is a symbol of our country, right?
I'm looking. I'm going to see if I have a dollar. Let me see.
Pull out a dollar bill right now. Look at the back. Look at that eagle.
I only have hundreds.
Okay. I should have known. I'm sorry. I can't do it. But just imagine, okay? In his right claw, he has what? He has an olive branch, right?
And 13 arrows. 13 arrows.
13 leaves on the olive branch. 13 berries.
Right.
In his right and his left, he has 13 arrows. Right.
Right.
On the shield, there are 13 stripes. We talked about that before. The national phrase of our country that's on a banner above that eagle. What does it say?
I don't have it. Is it on 100?
It says "E pluribus unum."
Right.
You know what that means?
From one, there is many.
Out of many, one.
Out of many, one. Right.
All one. One nation, regardless of race, creed, color, age. We don't care. And the eagle is facing to the right, which means we prefer peace, but don't forget about those arrows because we'll fight if we need to. But flying above the eagle's head is what?
I don't have a dollar bill.
13 stars.
Oh, 13 stars. Now, what I thought the 13 was always the 13 colonies in the 13 states. What if there was 14 states? Does this throw everything off?
Well, there weren't. It was 13. What do you want from me, man? I'm sorry. It's 13. Don't go there.
I mean, what if there was 12? I mean, 12's a sacred number.
I'm sorry. There wasn't.
and here's the point.
Hey, here's one for you. When you go to court, I know you've been there many times.
Yes.
And the jury sits there. How many jurors are there?
11. I'm kidding.
12.
I'm kidding. It was
There's
a joke.
12.
There's 12.
And one alternate, right?
Right.
How many is that?
13.
It must be a coincidence. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up.
But this is the point that needs to be driven home. You bring up so many points here, and when we look at all of this combined with the Kensington Rune stone, for those out there that say that it was hoax, it's a modern forgery, and how could a modern forger have all of these facts? And would a modern forger have known about the 9 arches? Would a modern forger have been able to go back and peel back the allegory in the Bible and combine all of this onto the stone?
Well, some people will claim it was a Freemason, right?
Right.
I can tell you, Freemasons don't do this kind of stuff. That's not what we do. It's just, is it possible that we have a rogue guy out there that could have done this? No, because anybody who was initiated to the level that would understand all these elements that are embedded within the runestone. Don't forget, we also have the Grail code. The word Grail is encoded within the Kensington runestone. There's a dating code, double dating. The number 1362 is double dated. It's encoded within the inscription. There are marks on certain runes, and the number 8. And when you plot them on the medieval Easter table dating code of the 14th century, you get 1362. Forger did that? Really? No. The Templars. If this is a land claim, what's the most important thing on a land claim? The date, right? We were here first. So, but the way the date that everybody can see can be altered. You just add another line below the 3, you make 1462, you change it by 100 years. Can't do that, because we protected the date by embedding a code within the inscription using the tradition, the Easter table dating tradition of the time. Is somebody going to go to all that length to create a hoax when the guy that they claimed did it, Olaf Oman, was too busy trying to survive and raise his 9 kids? Give me a break. It's nonsense. And now that you brought it up, okay, now that I'm on a rant, here's the problem with the scholars, okay? They didn't have a clue what they were dealing with. The bottom line is that they understood the traditions of runestones mostly going back to the Viking Age, right? These are the rules of the runestones that we have studied in our career in Scandinavia, okay? And basically what they're doing is they're trying to say to the runestone, you have to be like this, otherwise you're wrong. That is fundamentally, they screwed up the scientific method from the very beginning. What these guys have done is they have tried to tell the Kensington runestone what it's supposed to be instead of letting the runestone tell them what it is. That is improper scientific method, and that's why they screwed it up. It's so obvious to me, Jimmy, being a scientist. When you go into an investigation, there are no preconceived ideas. You go in with a blank slate, and you take it on a case-by-case basis. You document the facts. You let the evidence take you where it goes. You don't sit there and tell it, well, I don't like this because it's supposed to be that. That's wrong. And that was the problem. But beyond that, and this is going to piss them off even more. I'm on a roll. Let me go. But to be able to, the first thing that happens when you become a Mason is you are stripped down, okay? You are divested of all metals. You are a poor, blind candidate. And you go in there and you say, we ask you, are you willing to do this? Are you duly and truly prepared? In other words, you are humbled to the point where you are like, okay, I have nothing. Now I'm ready to learn. Okay? The first lesson in Masonry is humility. I've been to Sweden. I've been to these places in this country. I've talked to these scholars. Humility isn't in their vocabulary. they won't. They don't. They can't even begin to take the first step towards learning about allegory and code and this higher level. And that is the missing piece of the Kensington Rune stone.
The aspects of all of this going back to Jerusalem, through France, through Scotland, through England, over here to the United States, fills a lot of those holes. It answers a lot of questions. But still, we're going to go back to, and I prescribe to this. I'm fully engaged with this thought. Well, what about the Grail? What about the True Cross? What about the Spear of Destiny? What about the Ten Commandments? What about the Ark of the Covenant? What about the rest of the treasures in Solomon's Temple? What? We still don't have those. Those are all of the things that are still hidden away.
Right. Okay, let me ask you a philosophical question. Let's just say the secret vault. And I'm not saying this is true, and I'm not trying to be cute. I'm just talking totally hypothetically. Let's say the secret vault had all that stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Who does it belong to? Let's say, Jimmy, you and I got in the car, and I took you out there, okay? And let's say we got in there, and all that stuff was in there. Do we start filling our pockets? What do we do?
I would have a press conference, and it would kick ass.
Okay, all right. So that's a great idea. And then Scott is going to tap you on the shoulder and go, Jimmy, is that really what we should do?
Well, the Smithsonian would come a-knocking, that's for sure. But
hey, wait a minute. The Smithsonian would be the least of our problems.
I know,
okay?
Right?
So you think maybe the church might have something to say about it? Do you think maybe people in Jerusalem might have something to say? People in Ethiopia, Egypt, Turkey, I mean, all over the Middle East is where these guys rounded up the stuff. And they're all going to make a play, aren't they? I mean, this is going to be like the family of Prince after he died. My God, everybody threw their hat in the ring, even guys that were in prison, for God's sakes. So the question is, are we really going to go public with that discovery? Are we really going to tell people? You and I would sit down with a bottle of scotch, and we would have a long talk. And I'm not telling you what the answer would be. I don't know what the answer would be. But we'd have to think long and hard about it, wouldn't we?
We would, but these are some of the lingering. It's one thing to talk about the Holy Grail and even what it may be. That may be allegory for all intents and purposes. But
bingo.
But Scott, these are where you have the skeptics on one side that reference the Bible all the time, and these, the real Bible artifacts and the true cross and where things ended up, and the Spear of Destiny and so forth, and how the Romans were involved, and the notations of throughout history.
Hey, hold that thought for a sec, okay? You're making an assumption that story's true.
Well,
did it ever occur to you? Did it ever occur to anyone that maybe that story is an allegory?
Yeah, I've had many guests on this show that have presented a few different takes on it. That all of it raises an eyebrow. All of it. I mean, all of it.
Okay, so I wasn't going to go there, but I'm going to go there now. Okay, I'm going to give you one example of what could be an allegory. Okay, and this is going to hit pretty hard for some people. But again, this isn't me trying to undermine anybody's belief system or attack it. I'm just going to throw this out as a possibility. And I feel like I have a right to, because I was born on December 21st on the winter solstice, okay? And I just want to preface this by reminding people that the eternal travelers in the heavens, when you talk in esoteric circles, the ultimate symbol of dualism in the heavens, male, female, heaven and earth, good, bad, light, dark. Mm-hmm. In the heaven is the planet Venus and the sun, which in most ancient cultures represents a male deity, the sun, and of course Venus is female. The reason they're the eternal travelers is because, you know, when Venus is a morning star and she rises, who follows? The sun. And they follow the same track and path across the sky. When she transits over in the wintertime usually, and when she's an evening star, the sun sets first and she follows, the eternal traveler. So just think about that for a second. Now let's talk about the resurrection of Jesus, okay? And he was in that tomb for how long?
3 days.
And then what happens? He comes back, right?
Right.
He rises, right?
Right.
Who is there?
Who is there with him inside the tomb? Nobody.
Saw him.
Well, you mean outside of the tomb?
Right.
Who was outside of the tomb?
Who was there?
Mary.
Magdalene.
Right.
Who many people believe was his wife.
Right.
Right? His consort, his eternal traveler. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, well, the resurrection, he was in the tomb for 3 days, right? He died, right? Now think about December, when the sun, the male deity, gets lower and lower in the southern sky, right?
Right.
And eventually we hit the solstice, my birthday, or as my wife likes to say, the shortest, darkest day of the year. Thank you, honey. So the sun comes down, and on the 20th, the 21st, and the 22nd, it stands still. And then what happens?
Goes the other way.
Resurrected.
Right.
And who is there to meet him at the end of the day?
Man, I feel like I'm in Bible study, and you are, and I'm going to fail this test. I don't want to fail this test. Quit asking me if I know. I'm having that guilt. And
don't worry about the guilt. Just think about it. It's beautiful. It's actually quite beautiful. But this is what they call veiled information. Okay? Right. It all goes back to astronomy. The thing that phrase that you hear in esoteric circles, as above, so below. It is so true. It just even more. You know, you talk about how rocks. You know, many people believe that rocks actually have power, have energy, and can affect us in positive ways if we dial into it, right? And it's the whole universe is like that. And I really do believe that if you go back in time, people were so in tune with the earth and with this, you know, with the heavens. I mean, my God, they didn't have cell phones and TVs. I mean, they didn't have all that distraction. They either talked to each other or they looked up in the sky. And we didn't have all this noise light, right? And all this it's just a different world, and we've lost this connection, I think, with our, you know, with our world, with our earth, and with the heavens. It's, you know, and some people are going to go, "What are you talking about?" But I think you know what I'm talking about, don't you?
I do, and the sound that you're going to hear in a second is a lightning bolt coming through my ceiling and striking me down.
For having me on as a guest.
Yeah, when we come back, Scott, I want to talk some crystals. I want to do that, but I also want to talk a little Hermeticism and the Knights Templar. Let's do all of that when we come back. This is Fade to Black, our guest, Scott Wolter. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal God, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation. And Angioprim is the result, a safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRAradio.com.
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Beckley Tappy. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Email Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. You can follow me on Twitter at jchurchradio. Follow Scott Wolter at Real Scott Wolter on Twitter. Come join us over in the sandbox. It's pretty crazy over here tonight in Twitter, Scott. You're really good at doing that. And I wanted to, when we talk about Hermeticism and the Knights Templar, there's a direct connection there. And if we go back before that, and we're talking about the First Temple and King Solomon, all of this predates Jesus. Then we have the Jesus ossuary. You were just intimating that the possibility of that being allegory, not as ossuary, but Jesus himself. But all of this predates even Jesus and that timetable of, year zero or thereabouts, right? 33. But we're going back hundreds and hundreds of years before that, and Egypt and Hermeticism and the Greeks and the Romans and the way that the mysticism and the mystery schools spread out around the world too as well. What do we do with all of that?
Well, I think that we need to, I don't think we need to necessarily do anything. I think it really boils down to the individual to decide what they want to do. I mean, that's one of the basic tenets of Freemasonry, and it's your journey. It's up to you. And I can tell you, because I have explored many of the different, trails you can go down in Freemasonry, only in the short time I've been involved. But if you want to go through and become a Master Mason, and you want to stay and do work within your lodge and be an officer and help make more Masons, that's great. And if you don't want to do any research, if you don't want to go on to any of the higher degrees, the Scottish Rite, the York Rite, or some of the side orders that go beyond there, you don't have to. And you're fully vested. Nobody's going to criticize you. You're a brother. Everything's cool. However, if you want to go farther, you can go as far as you want. The sky is the limit. And for those that are seekers, that are interested in the esoteric and some of the Hermeticism that you talk about, those opportunities are there. And I don't think it's necessarily right to say, hey, Jimmy, this is something you should do. This is something Jimmy should say, this is something I want to do. Because it's not for everybody. I mean, I talk about these allegories, and I gave you an example. By the way, I'm not saying that Jesus didn't live. That whole allegorical story about the resurrection doesn't mean that Jesus didn't live. It means that maybe some of these events that are legendary things that are within, the tenets of the Roman Church, maybe they're allegories, maybe they're not. I guess that's up to the individual to decide. And by the way, I don't think there's necessarily a wrong answer. And this goes back to the whole idea of the mystery schools and the opportunity, if you want to go and learn things, it's up to you. That's your journey. And so, I mean, personally, now that I realize these things that are out there, I want to suck it all in. I want to learn it all. I want to meet the people who teach these things. And I've been very fortunate to meet some of these people. And I have to say, it was greater than I could have imagined. And I look forward to, every year there's an esoteric retreat in the fall, and they bring people from outside, names that you would recognize. You've probably had as guests on your show. And they come in and they share their knowledge, and other guys come in, and it's fantastic. And it goes to the core of many of these ancient mysteries and, knowledge that was taught and passed on through the millennia. I mean, this is something, Freemasonry goes back tens of thousands of years. The natives have their own secret society. It's called the Medewin in the Algonquin tribes. Many of the secrets that they pass on that's unique to them are the use of medicinal plants and how to work with nature to survive and to live a good life.
What degree Mason are you?
I have been through the Scottish Rite, 32nd, degrees, all 32 degrees. I have been through all 13 of the York Rite degrees. I have been knighted. I'm involved in some other side orders, and
now you did promise me one time that you would send me your Knights Templar ring. I just want to let everybody know I'm calling out Scott on that. Yeah, the custom made one. Yeah. But let me ask you this. It's a beautiful ring.
I love you, man.
I know, it's a beautiful ring too. Is this? So I'm sitting at a table, and there's I've got somebody wearing a Freemason ring. I've got somebody wearing a Knights Templar ring. I have a family member that came over one day. He's wearing the Knights Templar ring, right? And I'm looking at him like, man, that is the coolest thing ever, right? But anyway, and then you've got a Scottish Rites guy. Who's got the juice card sitting at the table? Is one more? You got a Freemason, and he's got and he looks down, and somebody's got a Knights Templar ring on. Is there somebody that's got the juice card?
Is there one that's considered more prestigious than the other?
Would they think that? Yes.
Well, I can say that there are some brothers who would think that, but they would not be. They would be wrong, because the York Rite degrees cover some of the same material as the Scottish Rite, but it's totally different. It's done in a different way. In some ways, I would say that the York Rite degrees are some of the best degrees that I've personally been involved in. But if I had to pick one degree above them all, it would be a Scottish Rite degree. And I won't say which one it is because I don't want to ruin the experience for anybody.
Right.
But I am actually fortunate enough to be part of that degree, which we are going to be putting on in about 2 weeks. And it will take you back in time, and as a candidate, when you go through it, you are in the degree. You are part of it, and it will impact you to your core in a good way. It will force you to think about things and be honest about things that you've never been touched like that before. It's really amazing. These degrees are part theatrical, part lecture, and we always have at least one, what they call a principal candidate. And of the people that are going through the class for the first time, the candidates, we'll pull one out in each degree, somebody different, and they will be the principal candidate representing the rest of the class. And they are part of the degree. And it's really, really cool stuff.
Now, I've asked this question many times on the show with different Freemasons that I've had on. I've gotten different answers. I've certainly never asked you this, which is your 32nd degree, 33rd, is that number. Is there part of the library that you have access to as a 32nd degree, but with 33rd, are you exposed to the secret stuff that even you as a 32nd degree, you thought that it was all complete? Is there a secret book? Is there one more room beyond the library at the lodge where there is something there that as a 33rd that you are exposed to?
Well, the honest answer is I don't really know. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a 33rd. And the answer is I really don't know. What I do know is that there is another degree that very, very, very few people will experience, and I know nothing about it. And I don't even want to talk about it, because if it's going to happen, it'll happen because others decide that, myself or somebody else might be worthy. But I don't ever plan on becoming one in my life. It more than likely will never happen. So honestly, Jimmy, I can't tell you because I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I've never been to a Freemason lodge. I've never gone in, and I've met many Freemasons, of course. We all have, and I've asked questions. I've always found it entertaining, and also, there's a little jealousy too, in that they know that I want to know, and they know they can mess with me by saying I can't talk about it. And we it's a circular thing, right? It's a catch-22 that I can never, get out of. I enjoy the cat and mouse part of it, but then there's those Freemasons that say, well, you know what? There is no secrets. There isn't anything there, but yet you can feel it. You can feel it. And like right now, talking to you, I know, I feel, and the audience feels, that there is something there that you guys hold, that we will never know, that we simply will never find out.
Well, I mean, on one level, the thing that I think people sometimes make more out of it than it is the simple fact that every one of us who have, become Master Masons, and really the one thing everybody who is a Freemason can say is they've all been raised as a Master Mason. Actually only about well, in Minnesota, about 35% of the guys that become Master Masons go on to do either the Scottish Rite or York Rite degrees. Most don't go any farther than that. But I will tell you that one of the most beautiful, one of the most memorable, one of the most impactful degrees is the Master Mason degree, the third degree. And every one of us have all been through that. And we all understand and know what that experience is like. And if you aren't a Freemason, you don't know anything about that. And I will never tell anyone, no Mason will. And if that's the, you know, and that is one of the things that you feel, perhaps, is that we have been through something that other people have not. But on the other hand, it's not a hell of a lot different than, say, I played football in college, right? And there's not, you know, in the grand scheme of the population, it's a relatively small group of guys. And when you get together with guys that played college football, you know, you've gone through a unique experience that not many people have, and you have that in common. If you played baseball, volleyball, gymnastics, or you and your buddies back in high school had this really cool, you know, gang that you used to go do whatever you used to do, you have that thing that only you guys understand. And so it's that kind of a thing. And I know everybody that's listening has been involved or is involved in a group, a unique group of people that they connect with, that they do this unique thing with that nobody else does. And you have that bond, you have that connection. And that's how it is in Freemasonry, because we have gone through a common experience. We understand certain things at a certain level that most people just aren't exposed to. And it doesn't make them better or anything else. It's just something they've experienced. But everybody has gone through something unique with one or a group of people. You know what I'm saying?
I do, and it makes sense. And I think everybody gets a certain amount of satisfaction out of that camaraderie. You know, being part of a group and having secrets, quite simply. You know. Yeah.
Well, look. The ladies get together and they have their secrets, and the guys get together and they have their secrets, and you know, it isn't much different than that, really. I mean, what about the Golden Dawn? Well, that's just another secret society out there that has a unique set of rituals and a unique and you know, some of these groups out there, for lack of a better way of describing it, they recruit certain types of individuals. And in fact, I mean, this is the truth. Even when you're going through, Blue Lodge, the first 3 degrees, or when you're going through the Scottish Rite, or the York Rite, you're being vetted. People are watching you, and they see how you react and how well you understand. Because after we go through these degrees, we'll sit down as a group and we'll discuss the degree. What did you see? What do you think it meant? What did that mean? What was going on here? Why did they do that? And so when you respond and you interact, it's no different than when you talk to anybody. You know, you're vetting them out, right? Is this a cool cat or is he a dope, right? Or can I trust this person? Or I wouldn't trust that guy with 50 cents. I mean, that kind of stuff goes on. And there are these groups that are out there. Golden Dawn is one of them that is looking for people that they think will help further their group.
Did they use some of the Freemason secrets in their writings?
Well, many of them are Freemasons, not all of them, but a lot of these groups that you hear about basically take some of the basic operations and structure and rituals of Freemasonry, and they'll put their own spin on it. I mean, there are many, many organizations like that. I'll give you one of the best examples in the world that most people don't realize that came directly from Freemasonry, the Mormon faith.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Okay. Wow. That's trippy. That was my next question to you. So what about that? Are those Masonic rituals and robes and garb and...
Well, I know a lot of Mormons. I have a lot of Mormon friends, and I don't want to say anything disparaging about them because they're happy, they're comfortable with it, it works for them, and that's great. What I can tell you is Joseph Smith was not raised. He was basically made a Mason on sight, is my understanding, and he basically did a no-no. You're not supposed to go out and start your own religion based on Masonic principles, which is exactly what he did. And when he was killed, he wasn't killed by a group. It wasn't a Masonic organization or lodge thing, but the guys that killed him were Freemasons.
Wow.
Yeah, most people don't know that, but he did a no-no. And, there is a book called Mormon Portraits that was written in 1886, I believe, by a guy named W. Weil, who was a German who came over to the United States back in the 1860s. And he interacted with the people in Joseph Smith's sect. And he went back to Germany, he got funding, and he came back. And he sat down and he interviewed a bunch of the people that had been involved with Joseph Smith, including his wife, Emma, his first wife, Emma. And it's not a pretty picture, I will tell you that. In fact, I was told that Mormons try to destroy every copy of that book they can get their hands on. And I have a copy, and if people want a copy, I'll give it to them. And it's not because I'm trying to undermine the Mormon Church. It's an interesting read from a first-hand witness that talked to the people that were part of the group. And it's disturbing, and it's disappointing. But, the Mormon faith has evolved, just like everything evolves. And I have to say, some of the things in the Book of Mormon are pretty compelling. And, in fact, I would say that some of the ancient history that is presented in the Book of Mormon, I'm not sure where they got it, but a lot of it, in my opinion, is right on. So even though, I think the basis of how it formed, basically, it's the rituals are a lot like Freemasonry, but it's not Freemasonry. It's a brother who started his own religion, and that's not what Freemasonry is about.
What about women?
Great question. And I have to tell you, Jimmy, one of the big struggles I had when I first became a Mason is, what about the ladies? And because I can tell you right now, there's nothing that we do in Lodge that the women can't handle. They can handle all of it, no problem. They would be wonderful Masons. However, remember we talked at the very beginning of our conversation about context? Back in the day, let's just go back to the time of the Revolutionary War, when it was serious life and death business that was going on in the Lodge, and I know that for a fact. Women were a distraction, because let's face it, we're always trying to figure out how we can be with them, right? and it's just a human thing. And so, and there are, look, women like to get together and be without guys, and guys like to get together and be without women, and it's not a chauvinist thing or a sexist thing. It's just things that we do as men and women. They both do it. And there's no reason that women couldn't be Freemasons. In fact, there are groups that welcome women. And I'm not talking about Eastern Star, which is basically Freemasonry for women. I'm talking about outside groups that initiate women, and they're fully vested. And, in fact, some of those side orders that welcome women, in my opinion, are just as good, and in some ways, maybe even a little better than some of the things that we do in Lodge.
Can I keep you for a few minutes? We never got to crystals. I don't know.
I'll talk about anything you want, pal.
Okay. What is your... we'll do that when we come back after the break. We have a couple of minutes. But Mark in Australia wants to know what your apron looks like.
Well, you know what? I have not had my own... I don't have my own apron other than the apron that was given to me when I became a Master Mason that I will wear when I go to that celestial lodge in the sky. That's the only time you wear it, is after you pass. And Janet has it. So I don't have one, but it's funny you mention that, because at this Grand Lodge get-together we had last weekend, there was a guy who will custom make your apron. And you know what I'm thinking? Maybe a little hooked X under the
Yeah,
side.
of course.
Of
course.
I don't have one yet. I just go, when I go to lodge, I just use the ones they have there. It's just a linen one. It's just a basic white one, but I would like to get one made, and I will eventually.
How often do you guys get together?
Our lodge meets the first Wednesday of every month. We'll have occasional events. We'll have get-togethers. We go on a boat cruise on Lake Minnetonka. We will do charity events, and there's dinners. We'll go to, we'll go to plays and things. It's just, the one thing I will say, though, Jim, when I go to lodge, I look forward to going there because I know every guy that's there is cool, and I don't have to worry about anything. There's just a really nice vibe of like-minded people. There are two things we never talk about in lodge. You know what they are?
Fade to black.
and fade to black.
Yeah,
Funny.
Are there
politics and religion? Politics and religion.
Okay, fair enough. Do you think any of your lodge members are listening to this show right now?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'll tell you what, next time I go to lodge, I'll find out.
Yeah, I know. And so are you cautious, or do you care what you say?
Well, of course I care what I say. But let me just tell you, now that you brought that up, one of the big things about Freemasonry is that our membership is declining. And it's not because people don't like Freemasonry or it's a dying thing. But after World War II, when all those veterans came back, there was a huge growth in Freemasonry because the guys missed being with their buddies, right?
Right.
So they joined Masonic lodges with their buddies, and they got to hang out with them for the rest of their lives. But those guys are dying off now, right? The greatest generation is rapidly going away. So those numbers are declining. But what I've said to many of the higher-ups in Freemasonry, and not just Minnesota, but nationally, is I said, look, we need to make more Masons. In my opinion, and this is just my personal opinion, I believe we need more Freemasons in government. Because, I mean, regardless of your politics, I don't care, Republican or Democrat, I can tell you that if we had more Masons in government today, we would have a higher probability of people making decisions in the interest of the greater good rather than the personal good than we have now. And again, that goes across the board politically. If we had more Masons, we would not have the same gridlock, the same partisanship that we have. It'd still be there. It wouldn't be as bad. I guarantee it wouldn't. And I think in many ways we've forgotten what those tenets are that this country was founded on, quite frankly. So I do think we need to make more Masons. I think they are, I think they're good people. Call me biased if you want. And the young people today especially, I don't adhere at all to that old saying like our parents used to say, Jimmy, well, back in my day, we were a lot smarter. Kids weren't as stupid and selfish and all these things that we say about the kids. I think the kids today are smarter than we were.
Yep.
And I think they would be great Masons. And I can guarantee you this, Jimmy, this is a fact. Those kids are asking the same big questions in life that we asked and still ask. Nothing has changed. The only difference is they're not going to church like they used to. That's a fact. The Roman Catholic Church is declining. But they're still asking those questions. And the question is, where do they go to find those answers? One of the places I think that they could go is to Freemasonry. I think we need to coach this younger generation. And I told the guys, I said, look, how are people going to know the wonderful things about Freemasonry unless we let them know who we are? that post-World War II ultra-secret thing. Nobody ever talked about it. It was taboo. That's BS. If we want people to know who we are, we have to let them know who we are. And nobody disagrees with that philosophy. So I'm happy to talk about it. I'm not going to give away everything because I don't want to ruin the experience for people.
Sure.
But I can tell you this, the young brothers that we have are some amazing guys, and they're going to be amazing leaders in the future. And I think the future looks bright. I really do.
Let's take a break right here. When we come back, as promised, we're going to talk some crystals. And there's only there's only one guy to do that with. That is Scott Wolter. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, and my music didn't queue up. There it is right there. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Scott at Real Scott Wolter. It's easy. And it's right there on Twitter right now on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. More with Scott doing a little overtime right after this short break. Stay with us.
Here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
So you went to dinner last night, you had your favorite pasta. Ugh. Or maybe you had a heavy, spicy meal and it left you. Ugh. GetTheTea.com. Maybe you mowed down a huge steak and your plumbing is all plugged. Ugh. GetTheTea.com. Our super strength tea will take care of your occasional. Ugh. It's all organic and non-GMO. Get rid of ugh. We have so many great supplements, but our super tea is number one. GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hey, can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at natureyouth.com. Natureyouth.com. The holidays are coming. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at natureyouth.com. That's natureyouth.com.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Scott Wolter, doing a little overtime with us. Thank you, Scott. Tomorrow night, Jason Gleaves is here to discuss his new book, UFO Photos, Computer Analysis. And Wednesday night, Jason Quitt joins the show. Now, Scott, we just recently finished the new Lost in Space series on Netflix. It's pretty good. It's pretty amazing. And but there is a couple. I don't want to give anything away for the audience, and I know that you haven't seen it either, Scott. But there is a couple of episodes that have an agate that are central to the story.
Really?
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. But I'm not going to give anything away at all.
All right.
I'm not. Well,
now you've got me very curious.
Well, you're the agate king of that could be a song actually, but you have a huge collection and crystals. I'm holding up to the Fadernauts. I'm holding up this crystal skull that I have. He's massive. His name is Jose.
Okay.
And quartz and crystals, and there's a lot of debate right now out there with physicists and the scientific community about what is alive and what is not. You know, does it have to have DNA? There's other things out there, and one of them specifically that they talk about are crystals. Crystals, they're energetic. They grow. You know, they're alive. Are crystals alive?
Well, obviously the word alive, it depends on how you define it, right? I mean, it's made up of molecules and atoms, and there's electrons, and there's movement there. So, everything is alive in that sense. So, in that sense, yeah. And I mean, there is certain, and I don't want to, present myself as an expert in this. I know enough to be dangerous, but, there are certain properties and physical things that can be measured around certain rocks, certain, formations in nature, and many people say in individual rocks or crystals or agates, for example. And, all I know is that they're beautiful. And, when I think about, especially our agates here, the state gemstone of Minnesota is a Lake Superior agate. And you find them in the gravels, you find them in the beach gravels and gravel pits along rivers and farm fields and construction sites, and they're damn tough to find. I mean, it's basically they were put in this great big glacier with all these other rocks and then just spread across the state, and they're really hard to find. And boy, when you find a good one and you see how the glacier naturally opened them up and exposed the banding, and in our region, because most of these agates formed inside the North Shore Volcanic Series, which of course has a lot of iron in it, the trace iron inside the agate oxidizes when it's exposed, and it makes even more colors. And they are so beautiful, it's like sometimes you look and go, I can't believe nature did this. It's so gorgeous. And so when you look at a beautiful thing, I mean, here's an analogy. It's not quite the same. I don't want to suggest it is the same. But, Jimmy, when you see a beautiful woman, or you see your wife, or you see your child, it initiates a reaction in you, right?
Mm-hmm.
In one case, it's love. In another case, it may be passion. But, you see the beauty of whatever. If it's another guy or another gal, if you're a gal, whatever it is, it sparks something in you. It initiates a physical response. And The same is true when you look at a beautiful rock, or you look at a cool rock for whatever reason. A crystal. When you look at the geometry of how nature put this perfect crystal together, it initiates a reaction in you. And, you know, is that what you're talking about? Maybe, I don't know.
Do you, when, you know, I'm holding up this huge, I can't even put it into words how big it is, but this huge chunk of Lemurian quartz, there is something going on here. You can feel it, at least I do, and most do. What do you get? Do you use quartz or crystals for other than decoration?
Well, the answer in my house is yes, but it's not me. It's my wife Janet that is very in tune with the energy of crystals. I mean, we have some one is an Arkansas quartz cluster that's just fantastic. Another one, have you ever heard of Herkimer diamonds?
Yes.
Have you ever heard of Herkimer diamonds that are as big as your fist?
No.
We have a cluster that's 3 of them that are that big. And she puts that on the mantle, and, you know, she'll just go over there at times and just put her hands over it, and she can feel it. I mean, she feels something. I have to be honest, I don't. Maybe it's just that I'm not wired, or I'm not tapped into that part of my body or my brain, but I don't feel it. But she definitely does, and she's not the only one. There are a lot of people that feel the energy inside these crystals. I just think they're beautiful. I just like having them around, and it just makes me feel better when I look over and I see those rocks. I'm just like, oh my God, they're so cool. They're just amazing.
Yeah, they are.
What's going on? I don't know.
Yeah, and what about? I think there's a weird thing with nature when it comes to agates, where the beauty is on the inside. They're camouflaged.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong with thinking that?
No. Well, when you go to just about any other agate found around the world, and there are lots of agates found in just about, well, on every continent for sure, and in many countries, in most cases, when they weather out or you mine them out, you can't see anything. You get this husk that, you know, is kind of cool, but you don't really get the reward, the beauty of the banding and the colors and the shadow and all the other things that go with them until you cut them. But in our case, ours are unique because the glaciers have already opened them up for us. And then the oxidation colors just added, it's like they were painted in many cases. In fact, we have a variety of lacquer called paint agates because the colors are so rich and beautiful. So, yeah, it's you know, in our case, you don't have to do it. Some people polish a few of them, but most of them, you just leave them the way nature left them. But other agates, you got to cut them. So it is hidden inside.
How do you spot one? You know, one that hasn't been broken open. How do you?
It takes practice. It takes time to learn what to look for. Although you got to remember, they are made of chalcedony quartz, and you know sometimes they have a little bit of a glow, and if they're backlit by the sun, they'll glow a lot. And even if it's a big agate where light doesn't pass through it, it'll still illuminate the edge just a little bit. You know, quartz will do the same thing. You'll be able to tell quartz. And chert is more opaque. It doesn't really glow like that, but agate does. There's other features. You can look for the dimples. You can look for oxidation, the yellow limonite. There are other things that you look for. And it's tough. I mean, I can only imagine how many I just walked right over and I never saw them.
Right. I have one. I don't have it here in the bunker right now. I would love to show it to everybody on the cameras. I was gifted one about the size of like a large grapefruit cut in half, but it's completely on the backside smooth like a dinosaur egg. And then on the
Yep.
And on the inside, it's black. It's black crystal. It is crazy beautiful. And it looks, I swear, it looks like a dinosaur egg. It really does.
Well, you know what, man? There's all different kinds of agates. There's all kinds of different colors. And all I can say is whatever turns you on, turns you on. And it's funny. That's what I love about the hobby, because there's stuff that I like, and another person will go, meh. And then they'll go, oh, my God, I go crazy over that rock. And I just go, meh. And so, you know, I get one that I love. They get the one that they love. It's a beautiful thing. And, I mean, there are certain agates that everybody loves, right? But you'd be surprised. I mean, it's really funny how different people have different tastes. Whatever floats your boat, right?
Right. I there's something about it, man. I think they're alive. I think there's I think they think. I really do. There's something.
Well, I'm not going to say you're wrong, because I sure as hell don't know. All I can tell you is I'm sitting down in my basement right now, and I've got one wall with 5 shelves, and there's probably 30 agates on each one. And, there's more than that, probably about 40 on each shelf. But these agates range in size from a fist size to bowling ball size. That's how big they are.
Right.
And every single one of them is completely unique. In many ways, they're like people. Not any one looks like another. They're just so unique and different. They're just like people.
Do they continue to grow?
Well, no, they don't. Not in a physical sense. Because I weigh these agates all the time. They still weigh the same as they did before.
Right.
So I would say the answer to that is no.
I want to thank you. Oh, man. Let's go back to, I almost forgot, and I just got this note passed in front of me. Your meeting that you had last month. Okay, let's close the show with that. What can you tell me?
Well, honestly, I cannot tell you much. The meeting went very well. It's new information. It's big. It's big. And as I said, we've been vetting it for quite a long time, and there were some missing pieces, and those pieces showed up and really helped to bring it all full circle. And so now what we would like to do is if we're able to get the right deal, we'd like to bring it to a larger audience. And so I'm not going to say anything until we can bring it out publicly. But it's a great story. It's going to absolutely, completely rewrite the narrative.
What does it relate to? What does it relate to?
It involves the Templars. It involves the Templars. Some of the stuff we were talking about earlier. Remember I told you about the secret vault?
Yes.
I'll just leave you with this. The Templars are not stupid. They would never, ever put all their eggs in one basket. And they certainly wouldn't leave it on an island for two brothers to find.
Interesting.
Hey, did it ever occur to anybody, here's something that has never been brought up on that show. And, of course, it never will be brought up on that show. Do you think it would be beyond the Templars to create a myth to keep people off the real stuff?
The pirates did that too. I mean, right? It's in human nature. It's character. Absolutely.
And pirates. You said pirates.
Yes.
Many people think the pirates evolved from the Templars.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'll just leave you with that. They would do that, by the way.
So by saying that, you're saying that your next series will not be on History Channel.
Well, no, I'm not going to say that because, History Channel was very good to me. I have nothing but good things to say about History Channel. But make no mistake, TV is a business, right?
Right.
and you do what you got to do to pad the bottom line, right?
Are you suggesting that?
Oh, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Wait. You haven't heard the question yet. Are you suggesting that that Oak Island is gone as far as it can go?
Oh no, they're going to keep going. Are you kidding? As long as people watch, they'll probably introduce aliens here before too long.
Well, not the.
Look, you notice how they never close the loop on anything?
They can't.
No, because they might want to come back to it.
Yeah, I always feel like I know the ending to each season on Oak Island, but I think my question is more direct than that. What I'm saying is that there isn't anything to find on Oak Island.
That would be my opinion.
Yeah,
I have been there, and I've been invited on that show multiple times, and I have said thanks, but no thanks.
That's why your next series will not be on History Channel. I love History Channel. They've been good to me too. I'm not saying anything. It's just I wanted something to resolve. I wanted something there. That's all. I've been following Oak Island since the very first website that was out on Oak Island in 1994, and
that's why that show appeals to people, because that is a long-standing, enduring legend. And don't get me wrong, there may have been pirate treasure there, or something else there at one time. There's no Templar treasure there. That I can tell you. But I personally believe, Jimmy, I believe that human beings have a treasure gene. And, when there's legends like this, no matter how long the odds, no matter how ridiculous or how obvious it is that there's nothing there, if there's even 0.1% of a chance, people hang in there. Because what if they find it? What if? And it's just amazing to me when 5 years of drilling, they've turned that poor island into Swiss cheese. Mm-hmm. And some of the stuff that they do is so crazy, stupid. This whole notion of flood tunnels, really? It's called the water table. You dig below it's a glacial and marine island on the ocean. When you dig below the level of the ocean, it's going to fill with water. Period. It's not flood tunnels. And it's just amazing to me. And what can I tell you? It's not there. it's somewhere else.
Scott, thank you so much. And when am I going to see you again? What are you out there doing?
I don't know when. I don't know. When I know, I will let people know. And but I think it's going to be soon. Okay,
thank you so much. And the book, when the book is ready to go, we'll announce it here. There's a couple of things going on with that, but Scott and I will certainly announce the book launch on this show. And until then, Scott, give my best to Jan.
All right. Listen, Jimmy, thanks so much for having me as always. I always have fun, and I hope everybody else did. So, hey, we'll chat soon, man.
Thank you so much, Scott. You are the very best.
Oh, thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Scott. Scott Wolter, everybody. It's the hookedx.com. And, of course, Scott Wolter Answers.blogspot.com. Both links are over at Jimmy Church Radio. And I just noticed a tweet that went by. I want a copy of that Mormon book. How do I do it? Look, if you really want it, Scott said he could get you one. Write Scott. He's easy to chase down, not only on Twitter, Facebook, but both of his websites. And you can reach out to Scott right there, and you can do that. Tomorrow night here on the show, we're going to have Jason Gleaves on, and his new book, which is called UFO Photos, Computer Analysis. I've read the entire book, and tomorrow night we're going to go through that. And what Jason has done is he has analyzed, and we'll talk about the software and how he is doing it. Not all, but most of the classic UFO photos that you can think of going back 100 years through to today. But it's the way that he does it and presents it, and then gives an opinion on the scientific analysis with each one of the photographs. So we're going to do all of that tomorrow night. And on Wednesday night, Jason Quitt is going to be here. Now, with Jason, we are going to discuss the codes, and there is a precursor to everything over on his website, The Crystal Sun, and you can go and read his article there. We're going to talk about that, but then we're going to take things a step further, which is I want to believe. So that's going to be Wednesday night. So we have a tremendous week lined up here on Fade to Black. Then on Thursday night, which is Fader Night, open lines, and John Rappaport's going to be here with his No More Fake Newsroom. But with the passing of Art Bell, I understand where everybody is coming from. And if you want to do that on Thursday night, it's your night, it's your show. But we can certainly do that. Art Bell did pass away this past Friday. And my opening statement, or my comments on the show, I need everybody to know exactly where I'm coming from with this. Art Bell, just like all of you, had the same effect on me with what went on in the 90s and Coast to Coast AM. There's no discounting that. And with his passing, the way that he made his friends out there and connected with the audience, we all have that same emotional bond. And he left this earth on Friday. And I'm torn up about it, just like all of you. I don't want to do is do a sad memorial thing. I don't want to do that, and he wouldn't want to do that. So I want to keep things on the uppity up. I want to keep things on the positive, and so I'm trying to figure out a way to do that. So I'll throw the show out to you. Okay, I don't want to relive the past and bum everybody out. I don't think that's the right way to go. So we'll save things for Thursday. You guys think about that. My classic Art Bell memories. I mean, it's really weird when I think about Sidonia and Hoagland. That's one thing. But then there's Mel's Hole, right? Of course, there's the Area 51 caller. There's all of that stuff. And we can talk about that. There was a lot of radio history that went down in the 90s when it came to Art Bell. So we can do that on Thursday night. All right. With that will wrap another episode of Fade to Black. I want to thank Scott Wolter for coming in tonight. Again, just painting an unbelievable picture of history here in the United States. And this secret vault in Montana, how's that? Right? Thank you, Scott Wolter. Again, hookedx.com, scottwolteranswers.blogspot.com. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Camarion. Shows produced by Hill J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2018 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night right here, Jason Gleaves. Until then, everybody be safe. Go Beckley Tappy.